Guys, welcome to another episode of the Patriots Table. Ravi, I feel kind of stupid after so many years of worrying about Epstein, so many years, so much research, so much digging in, thinking that there's all these people doing these really bad things, and coming to find out it was all for nothing. We spent so much time and effort and nerves. Like, there's no list. He didn't do anything, and then I really feel bad for the guy too, because I can't believe he committed suicide when he was going to be found not guilty. I mean, that's sad. And I mean, why is Ghislaine Maxwell serving prison time over nothing? I don't understand that either. Like, we need to look back at that and get her out of there, I would think. Or we need to start a GoFundMe or something to get her
Yeah,
out of there.
that's weird, isn't it? I mean, like all of a sudden, the people who were blaming the other side for not talking about it suddenly don't want to talk about it themselves. And there's people in prison, like you said. I mean, Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison for trafficking children to nobody, and Epstein didn't kill himself for nothing. I mean, it's, and then I just recently read that the person who gave testimony, I mean, like the person who came forward, I think her name was Virginia Giuffre, committed suicide. So nothing makes, sense anymore in this whole corrupt swarm. And people who are asking questions are getting told to not talk about it and why we're still talking about it and so on. It's kind of we're living in strange times. I mean, like, if you remember, our guest last week, Donna, because he mentioned, I mean, one of the biggest problems we have in this country today is there is absolutely no accountability. There's no truth, honesty, or transparency. And this is the reason why we have so many differing, conspiracy theories or whatever you may want to call it. But, are they really conspiracies though? I mean, we are being told one thing, and then 2 years later, I mean, even JD Vance, I mean, I was just reading something where he had tweeted about, like, what's going on? Why are we not talking about this? Should we not, and then now all of a sudden we are not supposed to ask questions or talk about it. So, yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see where this all leads because, something is going on where people are being protected by the government for reasons that are unknown to us. Or, I mean, to some, obviously it is known, but for the majority of people who are not aware of what kind of corruption is going on and what was involved, and some of these lists were actually released. I mean, I was glancing through some of the names on those lists. I mean, just because there were too many. I mean, I didn't go through all of it, but there were various lists that were actually released, and people were sharing them around. I mean, there was. I'm wondering if it was WikiLeaks, someone else, but it was out there on Twitter that you could actually download and read. And now all of a sudden, none of those things exist. So something is going on, and I don't quite know what it is, and I can speculate like everybody else can. Uh, but it's kind of disheartening because the people who voted for Trump, uh, for a variety of reasons. I mean, it's several promises. One of the things was that he was going to drain the swamp. Now, I'm going to say up front because there are people who have called me that I have apparently now I have Trump derangement syndrome or whatever they call it because I'm calling him out on some of the things that he had promised not to do, which clearly he has now either forgotten or, doesn't care what we think. He's going to do what he wants anyway, right? But that's not what people voted for. So it's very important to understand. I mean, like we voted for a person, an outsider, to come in, for the second time, because obviously the first time didn't work out as well as we thought it would. To put the resources together, get the right people in place, and drain this corrupt DC swamp, but not someone to go in there I mean, do a lot of good. I mean, I'm not saying that he hasn't done a lot for the people. I mean, there are a lot of things that he has done, but this, kind of puts the brakes on it, like makes people wonder, like, what is going on? I mean, like, what happened to this person? Is this some kind of like double? Because in the last couple of 4 years, Biden didn't do anything. I mean, there was people behind the curtain, pulling the strings and auto pen signing his orders and things like that. I mean, what's going on? I mean, I have seen certain, left leaning papers published that Trump is kind of like, losing his cognitive skills. I mean, is that true? I mean, I don't know. No one is saying anything that makes sense anymore.
I just want to say, and I can't take credit for this because my wife said it, but we have a new variant on the Trump derangement syndrome, and it's the Trump denial syndrome that we're seeing
Yeah.
on the right now, where we just and we talked 2 weeks ago, saying, hey, we're going to criticize Trump on some of the stuff, but he's still done a lot of good. And like you said,
Uh-huh.
some of the stuff that's been coming out of his mouth recently, and especially with Iran and now Epstein's list, like this is really putting the brakes on, you know, what he's been doing and then even his credibility with his supporters. Because
Yeah.
there was really three big things. Well, I would say four big things that he ran on. There was no more wars, the Epstein's list, immigration,
Uh-huh.
and then Make America Healthy Again with Bobby. I mean, those were those big things. And, we even talked about last week with Donna
Yeah.
on some red flags with Bobby and the Maha movement. And then Trump dropped another bomb just in the past couple days about wanting to send more bombs over to Ukraine. We haven't. Oh, and then we were supposed to see the stuff on the JFK as well. We didn't see that, and
Uh-huh.
not. And then Epstein. Not only we're not seeing the files, it's there's just they don't exist anymore. And then they're gonna give us some footage with a minute missing out of it. Like, oh my, like it's and I put this out on social media today, actually. I was like, you like the fact that people thought the swamp was going to drain the swamp is kind of
Yeah.
like it's blowing up in our faces.
Uh-huh.
Like the people, like for some reason, I think everybody thought that it was just going to be a bunch of Democrats and liberals that were going to be on this list, and the right was going to be like, yeah, let's get it out of there. I'm sorry, I think it's just as bad on the Republican
Oh,
Party.
of
Like the
course.
the government and the corruption, and then the people were messed up. You give people a lot of money and a lot of power, and they're gonna do whatever the heck they want. You think I know I know people with not a lot of money and not a lot to lose that'll just go and do some pretty messed up things with their life. So I can't imagine people who feel like they're untouchable and there's no consequence to their actions. So we're gonna see. I, I don't know. I don't. I honestly don't have a lot of faith that we're gonna see much of anything when it comes to Epstein, and we're seeing Trump cave on. I mean, the foreign policy has been just horrible,
Yeah,
absolutely
that
horrible. We're
surprises me
caving to
because,
everything.
yeah, I mean, Trump's reversal on foreign policy is something that I did not expect because, he was always strong in that, in that arena, and he was like unwavering. I mean, he would tell people, straight to the face what he thought of them, and he was not. And even the tariff situation. I mean, everybody was saying he was going to cause major issues in here, and I kind of saw through that, and I was like, no, I mean, like he has this idea, and that's exactly how it worked because. I mean, you have to look at global politics and global economies. I mean, it's different to what we think is happening here, right? I mean, so you have to understand that, and most people in this, here don't understand that either. I mean, they don't understand global cultures, economics, politics, nothing. I mean, so they kind of use the same yardstick, so to speak, to measure everybody and everything, and that doesn't work. So, like, when you and I think Trump saw through that, and he, even in his first term, I mean, he was very strong. His one of his strongest point suits was in the foreign policy area. So suddenly, I mean, like, we come into the second term, which, should have given him enough time to, make these connections, and then become on stronger. I mean, I think, pacifying people, I don't think is one of his strengths, but it looks like he's doing just exactly that. I mean, even with the whole Iran, Israel, Iran, situation, that triangle that we got involved in, completely blew my mind at what happened. That was not what I would have expected the Trump that most people voted for to come through with. So when the and like you said, I mean, it's people should start. I mean, like I think he's kind of. I mean, this administration is kind of banking on the unwavering support of the base, right? So this MAGA base is what they're hoping for, that they'll stand behind them, and to some extent, I think some of the people are starting to see cracks in that, because what is happening to somebody who's looking at it with a critical thinking mind is doesn't make sense, right? When things don't make sense, people start to doubt what they're saying, and then once the doubt sets in, I mean, everything else that you do goes along with it, and that's what's happening. For more, the bigger picture. That's where it is, and the people who, like you said, the Trump denial syndrome. This is like the part that I don't understand. Like, it's in your face. I mean, like this Epstein thing was like one of the biggest, scandals that erupted. I mean, we were hoping that something would come out of it during the previous administration, and nothing did. And even when Ghislaine Maxwell went to prison, I mean, the judges ordered those lists, or the flight log and the client list, to be sealed. I mean, like, so that sends a message to people that there is something, that they're hiding something. I mean, there are people on that list that don't want to be found on that list, obviously. And what the message we have just sent to all those people by denying such a list even exists, when the entire world knows it does, is that that they're going to protect them no matter what, right? So the protection comes at what cost? I mean, like, now you have people who are wondering, what else are they hiding? What else are they not telling us? I mean, this is where, again, like Donna said, the truth, transparency, and accountability comes in, and there is none. If you ask me, I mean, like, we first couldn't believe the media, and Trump himself was like going on about the fake media, and people believed him because we could see that the media was not reporting the truth and they had an agenda. But now comes this, and now who do we believe? I mean, like, there is no one. I mean, there's not no one we can trust, no one we can believe. We don't know what's going on. That's a bad place to be in, going into the midterm elections, right? I mean, like, next year, people are going to remember these things. So, I, I mean, I don't know. Do you think that this is some kind of, like, we have heard, that there were people who actually went on record saying that they were going to take down RFK Jr. by September, because, they couldn't let him pull down the pharmaceutical industry and, everything that they had going on with them. Do you think it's some kind of like plot to make Trump look bad? I mean, is he has he fallen into a trap where, somebody is giving him false information? I don't know.
Yeah. I think that I think Trump is run by his ego. I think he can't be wrong about anything, and I think we have a lot of people in our government that
Yeah,
are
of course.
that are
Yeah.
ruled by their ego. So I personally think that with the great big shift, and like you said, Trump even surprised me with how he's been handling the foreign policy stuff. The Trump you see now versus even from his first term, and how he handles stuff are two completely different people. And I almost wonder what did he make a deal with the devil at some point? Is something being held over him? Because you had before it was Mr. I'm not a politician. I'm not,
Mhm.
you know, I'm not bought by the system. I have so much money they can't buy me, and now all of a sudden he's doing stuff that, I mean, we saw the Bushes do and the Clintons do with some of the stuff that's coming out of his mouth, you know. So I more wonder if he made some bad decisions, and regardless if he knows that, hey, I got campaign promises to fulfill. I don't know if his ego can take it. And then, you know, it can be the same with Bobby. I mean, a lot of people don't know that Bobby's previous wife was actually good friends with Maxwell, and years ago she hung herself as well and committed suicide. So it's really weird, the circle, the people that are around Epstein and Maxwell. And then, you know, I even um, heard this on the news, but there was yet another person, and this was actually very recent. It was actually end of April. A lady by the name of Virginia
Yeah,
Giuffre
Jeffrey. Yeah. Yeah, she's the one that I
was
mentioned earlier.
mhm. She committed suicide after, I mean, she sued Epstein and Maxwell for the same stuff. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
all the stuff that was, she actually got a payout. Stuff was sealed with her as well. It was really strange, the circumstances of her alleged suicide, because she was in a car accident right before. She was not doing good after the car accident. And then as she was starting to recover, she just decided to end her life. The only person to say this stinks was her father, and her father was quoted in saying they got to her. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like anybody who has anything to do with these two people wind up committing suicide or are saying sweep it under the rug, shut up. Right? Like there's nothing
Yeah.
to see here. Like so, and it seems like, again, people who are very close to Trump, and you know, one thing I saw people like Charlie Kirk and people trying to spread around is, oh, Trump's not on there. If Trump was on there, Biden and them would have released the list. I don't buy that either.
No.
Because, like we said earlier, there's going to be just as many people on the left as the right.
Yeah.
So Biden probably couldn't have released the list without emptying out the other half of it. Like, it doesn't matter if Trump was on or not. There's enough people on their side of the fence that would, you know, end up behind bars as well. I think this is the biggest, like, if this truly came out and everything, full disclosures on this could literally put away a huge portion of our government. Like, this is the biggest scandal involving government officials probably to ever happen in our nation's history if it came out. So it would, I'm surprised it got as far as it did with the information, the stuff that was released and what was talked about. I'm surprised they didn't stinking cloak and dagger hitmen take people out and silence this immediately with how volatile this is.
Yeah. So, you have to, like, the other thing is it's not just the US either, right? So there's royalty, in the UK. That's who, we had saw photos of Virginia Giuffre with. Like, there's like not just, it's a global ring, right? So this is just not us here in the US. So that particular list has people from everywhere around the world. So this is like it's a very delicate situation, like, because it's going to like blow up the entire world. But if you want to, like, if so, there's another theory that's floating around that, the reason why Biden's administration didn't release it is because they held it as blackmail for people, who are on the list, like, 'cause and like you said, the other reason was like if they released it, some of them would have been, implicated as well. and that they're now, I've heard people say the same story back again, like Trump cannot release it because if he does, then he loses the only hold he has on a lot of these people. I don't necessarily buy that argument again, because if you came into power saying you're going to drain the swamp and the majority of the swamp is on that list, and you're not, complicit, then I would be releasing it quickly and getting rid of the swamp and rebuilding everything from scratch. I mean, that's what I would do. I know it's hard and I know it's not going to go well, but I mean, if you surround yourself with people who have not gotten on that list, that means you have good people around you. And on the other side, if you have gotten people around you that are on that list, then shame on you, because you cannot, like you said, drain the swamp with a swamp, right? That's not going to happen either. So it's you know, I don't know, but the thing is, like, again, it all boils down to, like, be transparent. I mean, like, tell people what's going on. I mean, like, don't say there's no list. Say there's no list. There is a list, but we're not going to release it because it's not the right time or whatever. I mean, it's something. I mean, people would still buy that versus telling people, oh, it never existed. And by the way, I think the list that was circulated was a contact list. So there apparently are two lists. There's a contact list, which I'm sure, Trump was on it because, I think everybody who had money was on that contact list. Doesn't mean necessarily that they were on the flight log or the other list. Uh,
I mean, Trump met his wife through Epstein in
yeah,
those parties, that circle. I mean, that was
yeah, yeah.
a
So I
social
don't,
status thing.
correct. Yeah, yeah. I don't necessarily say just because you're on the list, you're, guilty of, being a pedophile or whatever. But, it doesn't matter. I mean, like, the people, if there are high-ranking government officials, we need to have justice and closure. I mean, this was the whole point of, like, exposing this ring. I mean, if not, we could have just let them do whatever, right? Nobody knew what was going on. I mean, why bother? Go through all that stuff and now, come back halfway and say it doesn't exist. But if you have,
I mean,
did you? I saw recently Trump. Like, there was a reporter's question that he actually jumped over. You want to maybe share that with the peer
oh
folks?
yeah,
Be a good place to do that.
absolutely.
We're talking about Jeffrey Epstein. This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
Sure, sure. First, to back up on that, in February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I said I was asked a question about the client list.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing JFK files, MLK files. That's all in the process of being reviewed because that was done at the directive of the president from all of these agencies.
So have you seen anything that you said, oh my gosh?
Not yet. And my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that.
I
Well, that was a
mean,
nice
it's
backpedal.
oh they had to. I mean, that's just come on, Pam. Like that's where I'm like they're smarter than this. Like nobody's
Yeah.
buying this. This is so poor and this is in such poor taste. I would rather hear, "Hey guys, sorry, this was worse than we thought. So
Uh-huh.
for national security reasons, we're not sharing this." I know Americans are sick of that bullshit line, but I
Yeah.
would take it over you treating us like absolute morons. Like, really? Really? And then Trump, I mean, like talk about deflecting and projecting. That was in poor taste.
That was
And
almost
then to
like
turn around and
gaslighting.
use the tragedy. Yeah, it was pretty much gaslight. Like you're gonna
Yeah.
use the tragedy in Texas and all those people's deaths to get mad at a reporter for asking a legitimate question about something that, I'm sorry, Mr. President, you made a big deal while you were running
Yeah.
for office for a second term.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Not everybody else. You decided to go, this is a big issue. We need to get this out there. And I'll go ahead and play on his ego. You want to go down as if you want to make your mark as as a president, to really go down history as a great president or even a bad one, doesn't matter. But just make sure that people will know your name. From what I suspect's on that list, release it. If 20% of the
Yeah.
federal government gets locked up, you will be in the history books, not just in America, but around the world for hundreds, if not thousands of years. So go
Yeah. I
ahead,
mean, like,
release it and quit the projecting bullcrap. Sorry.
yeah. Yeah. Now, I mean, like, so say, I mean, you cannot release it because there are like, world government heads in areas where there's, major issues going, whatever. I mean, I don't know. I mean, like, make up something. Start acting on the list. I mean, get some people who were on there who have committed crimes, put some handcuffs on people and drag them away. I mean, I think that's what pisses most Americans off than actually seeing who's on that list. I mean, I personally don't care who's on that list because I don't want to know what world heads are on that list. I don't care, right? I mean, Epstein's dead. The island, is not non-functional anymore. Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison. So whatever that was happening with the whole ring is busted. But the people in this country need to be brought to justice. I mean, there needs to be closure. There needs to be justice for the people from here who are on that list. They cannot go scot-free for doing that. I mean, that is what pisses most Americans off, and that's what pisses me off. I don't know about you. I mean, like, what do you think about? I mean, I
No,
don't
it,
really
it pisses me
mind.
off too. You could even do it in a slimy way. You could do it in a slimy way. Trump could sit there with all the neocons and all the Republicans and be like, okay, these are all of our enemies that are on this list. Let's go after them first. Like, we
Right?
could do something. Like,
I
you could
know.
even
Yeah,
be
do
shady
something.
with it. Like,
Yeah, you got
and
to do
I'm sorry,
something. I
like,
mean,
Trump has done a couple good things since he's been, and I know he hasn't been in office too terribly long. What he's been doing with the immigration, locking down on that, what he did with the tariffs, like he's done some good stuff, but like what are you doing? It seems like for at least for the past few months, it's just been bad decision after bad decision after bad
yeah,
decision. And not only has it been bad decision, now you're treating your supporters like they're idiots. Hey,
yeah,
we said one thing, now we're going to turn. It's not that, hey, we changed your mind. It's, hey, this doesn't even exist. What are you guys talking about? We got
right.
the director, we got the attorney general and the director of the FBI, totally flip-flopping the script. And honestly, they like I in 99% of cases I don't support, far leftist candidates, but man, you're giving the left some ammo to throw at you at the next
Yeah.
election. Like I
Hmm.
have talked about on this show that we are not going to be able to fix the problems in our country in one term or with one president or in two terms. It is going to take
Yeah.
decades of fixing and undoing all the damage we have done in this country. This kind of shit right here is going to not bode well with your voter base, and you are destroying any opportunity of your next candidate getting in and continuing to fix and heal this
Hmm.
country. Like you're
Yeah.
completely ruining it with the lying and the dishonesty. Like we haven't seen a wave in as much support for a candidate as we had with Trump since Reagan. Like this was
Yeah.
historical this past election, and they are squandering it so badly that it's really disheartening. And you had a lot of people who were either, conservative or even kind of teetering in the middle that refused to vote for a long time because they didn't think it mattered anymore.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. And
you
they're going to
got
sing the
them to
same thing
come out
again.
and vote. Yeah, you got so many people to come out and vote that hadn't voted in years because you gave them something to believe in again. You
Yeah.
made them feel like, man, this is our last shot at getting our country back and actually fixing this and starting down the right path. And you're squandering those people. Like you're gonna have to wait for minors to become of age again, or pull pull a page from the left's playbook and just get some immigrants in to replenish, because those people aren't going to do this again. They're not.
No. Mm. And that's the other thing that the left, I mean, both the left and the right, they forget is that the middle, the moderate people are the ones who the base usually says the same. I mean, the moderate people and the independents, I mean, those are the ones that actually, shift the whole thing around. And this kind of stuff doesn't go well with that that particular demographic of voters. And I mean, we're going to see if this doesn't get resolved and this doesn't get some credibility, or somebody doesn't do something right about it. I mean, the midterms are around the corner. We're going to see that being reflected in it. Uh, that's going to be really bad for what you just mentioned. A second term for another, Trump nominee. This might not happen because I sure as hell won't be voting. I mean, I won't be voting for somebody who flip flops on important things like that without giving me a good reason. I mean, like, give me a good reason. I'm all
Oh,
ears.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, and that flows right into our next thing. I mean, one person that's obviously sick of it and for good reason, Elon Musk, and we have the birth in it, and I guess it's official. It's been filed. It's out there. You have the America Party, where we have a third party being birthed out of, people unhappy with where MAGA's going and what Trump's doing. And, this is actually, we have talked before about the potential, because I never thought the MAGA movement was the Republican Party. The
Uh-huh.
MAGA movement just chose the Republican Party as the platform for what they wanted to see happen. And
Yeah.
what I was more hoping for and hoping to see was the MAGA movement would take over the Republican Party. We'd get all the neocons out, and we'd actually start seeing the Republican Party what it used to be, people who really wanted to see America thrive. Um, but it seems like we still have the corrupt people in the Republican Party pulling the strings, and now you have people like Elon Musk, who's, he's a genius. He's a billionaire. He campaigned for Trump. He did all kinds of stuff. You even have people like Tucker, who campaigned for Trump, who is getting absolutely railed by the right and the neocons. So I mean, what do you think? Do you think this American Party is even going to turn into anything, or do you think we're just going to start seeing a shift from MAGA and the people in kind of in the middle that we were just talking about, kind of shift over to that?
So here's the deal. Here's the thing with the third party. I mean, like, you kind of like watch many cycles of elections and third parties. I mean, the U.S. is not set up for a third party to come in and take everything over. And the reason for that, I think, is primarily because we have three different, governing bodies, right? So you can come in. I mean, like, even if Elon comes in with a third party and the entire half of the MAGA base and all the independents vote for him and he comes into power, not much is going to get done. It's going to be the same swamp that's going to be still around, right? I mean, we have systems that have been put in place to prevent that from happening and which are now working against us because these guys who are in it now have enjoyed the corruption, have enjoyed, being in these positions for all their life. They're not going to give up with a fight, right? I mean, and so is the judicial branch. If you look at the judicial branch, I mean, in even in places like, Cuyahoga County, where it's more of a, a liberal, leaning area, the judges themselves are not very impartial, right? So we have a judicial base that has its own agenda, that has its own level of corruption. I mean, we don't know how many of those judges are on that list, right? I mean, we have no idea. And then we have the executive branch, and then that's the only branch that's going to change if a third party comes into power. I mean, even the legislative branch is still going to be basically the corrupt swamp that we have now, which seems to be having some power over even people who are coming in, obviously who are coming in to destroy them. I mean, they can pretty much, you know, put a stop to that, neutralize them, and then, kind of drag them into the swamp again. So I don't know how successful he's going to be with it because of that reason. And also, I think you and I talked, like when we were, a couple of years ago, uh, the only way I can see that happen is like the entire. I mean, like the U.S. has like five, I think, major like third parties. But if you take all of the little ones around that have been at some point being there and has some following, they amount to like 50 of them, right? So unless people form like put aside their differences, they come together on a common ground, and then set aside some of the differences, reach some compromises and form a coalition. No one single third party, I don't think, in this country is going to do what we think is going to do, do what Trump is not doing right now, for example, like come in, make sweeping reforms, drain, in other words, drain the swamp. Not going to happen. That's what I think. I mean, I think for that to happen, there needs to be a much better, and this has happened in other places, even in, where I come from in Sri Lanka. I mean, parties always that form coalitions and then they beat, whoever that's in power, because now each of these parties have a certain number of people that when they come together, they all vote for the same party. Right? You cannot have this fragmentation of third parties because there are people who are diehard libertarians who are not going to vote for anybody else than a libertarian, right? So if they all decide, okay, like we're no longer going to be like all these different parties, here are our common goals, and we are going to unite around these common goals. We'll still have a separate, one, two off, goals that we want on our own, but those shouldn't come into play to win an election and come into power. Because if you have that, then you're going to be fragmented. No fragmented third parties are going to, make it in this atmosphere and in this setup that we have. So that's kind of what I think, but I could be wrong on that. I mean, I'm not an expert on U.S. politics by any means, but logically
Right.
looking at what's going on, that's what I feel is going to happen if Elon comes up with a the America Party and goes on his own.
Again, I wonder even with Elon's party, like to me the chances are pretty high that you're just gonna have the same problem. Like let's say his third party ended up being a threat to the duopoly, right? And they're getting seats, whether it be local or federal, and they're doing stuff. I could just see the same type of people, maybe the same people and the same type of corruption filling up that just as quickly. Like it goes back to, again, you have to drain the swamp. The people, the career politicians, the people who have been funding this stuff, the people who've been involved in this for decades, these people have to go behind bars. There has to, it's the same type of mindset with, crime. Somebody does something, they get locked up. And make it known, you do this, this is the consequence of it. If there's no consequence to anything, then people are just going to do whatever the heck they want. You have the elites and the government thinking they can do whatever they want without any repercussions. The only time there are repercussions with high-ranking government officials is when it's something that is a very different motive than what we thought it was. Just like, Clinton, it wasn't because he was, getting something on the side in the White House. If you think that's what it was, you haven't, really read up on what was going on behind closed doors there. Same with Nixon. I mean, same with the sitting US President JFK getting assassinated, Ronald Reagan's assassination attempt. All these things are not for what they seemed.
Yeah.
It was all for an ulterior motive. So there has to be a precedent set that this kind of stuff is not okay. And until that is enforced, and I went the third party route. I was the chairman for the state of Ohio for the
Yeah.
Constitution Party, and until you establish that morally we're not going to allow this as a country, it doesn't matter which party it is, there's going to be corruption because people are corrupt. Power corrupts them, money corrupts them. So unless somebody has a strong moral compass, or a people that have a strong moral compass and will hold everybody accountable to that, it's not going to work. It doesn't matter what you think's better
Yeah.
politically, left or right.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I think there was a recent Gallup poll that was done on, like, they polled like the independents, Democrats, and Republicans, and they basically asked like who would prefer a third party. I mean, there was a 69% of the people polled were in favor of having a third party, but you have to remember, I mean, these people are not, they're kind of distributed among all the parties. So this is why I am quite certain that unless we have a coalition for a third party, that 69% is going to get fragmented, and then you still have the Republican and Democratic base that's never going to change, and you're still not going to get anywhere. I mean, we have seen this time and time again. I mean, like, there were people who came real close. I mean, and then nothing happens. So that's what history has shown. And again, I mean, things can change. I mean, like, nobody ever dreamt that Trump would take the election in 2016, right? So, but that happened. So things can happen, in ways that we don't envision, but logically thinking, I mean, that's the only, I mean, probably the only way that we're gonna get anywhere with it.
Yeah, and from again being in it myself, I think the egos get in the way even with coalition. I mean, like the Constitution Party in Ohio tried to, kind of ally with the Libertarian Party, and something as stupid as, because the Constitution Party has a lot of, it's a lot of the church is in the Constitution Party, old traditional, Christian values, stuff America was founded on and stuff. Libertarian Party's like, do whatever you want. We don't care. Just
Yeah.
don't kill people, essentially. It's, little government, everybody do what they want. So they were okay with, weed being legalized. You want to smoke weed? Smoke weed. Nobody should tell you what to do.
Yeah.
Constitution Party is not okay with legalizing marijuana. So boom, just off of that, it's like, no, we can't get along. And it's like,
I mean, yeah.
it's
So
so
this is the
sad. It's
It
so
is. I mean,
sad.
this is the problem with, the people. I mean, it's a people problem, right? I mean, like, if you cannot compromise, then you cannot do politics. I mean, that's basically it. I mean, like, you and I, we work with the legislature here in Ohio. I mean, we are used to working across the aisle. I mean, we're used to seeing how the compromises are done. I mean, you cannot just go in there and say, here's what I want. I mean, we know some people who do that too, right? And they don't get anywhere. Nobody wants to talk to them after a while. So,
Nope.
I mean, even a party, I mean, like, within the party, or within, among parties, you have to have common ground. I mean, you have to find common ground and work along those lines, and not let, like you said, the egos get in the way and say, no, this is what I want. I'm not going to change my position on this. That's not going to fly. So then you might as well not have a third party and just, deal with whatever deck of cards you get dealt with, with one or the other parties. So this is the reason why, for the most part, America has stayed a two-party system, because we have very strong, and like you said, it comes from not just cultural aspects, it's religious as well. And people don't want to compromise their religious beliefs. And that, to some degree, I understand that. But if you want to see a bigger picture, if you want to see, a country get better as a whole, while you still can maintain your own religious beliefs, then you have to compromise on those as well. If you cannot do that, then there's no point even having this conversation. I mean, like Elon's going to figure this out pretty quickly, and he's not a guy who doesn't have an ego either. So very quickly, I think we're going to either see this flight through, or just he'll just give up and not even get on the ballot in 2028.
I mean, it might do something. I don't think it's going to get bigger than the Libertarian Party. I mean, you might see some people from the right and the left kind of flock to it here and there. It might be a big hype thing that might die down, but you know, I think at the end of the day, the whole party thing, the whole playing politics thing, will only go so far when you have a society that's failing, that
Yeah.
is quickly losing their sense of morality, that's losing their sense of empathy, that is their moral compass is going so off kilter that, you have to argue with people that killing thousands, literally tens of thousands of women and children is a bad thing. Like
Yeah.
if you have like I never thought I'd be at that point where I'd have to argue with people that claim they're Christians that hey, tens of thousands of women and children getting killed
Mhm.
is not okay. That's bad. So I don't think it's a politics problem. I don't think it's a party
Yeah.
problem. I think it's a societal problem. And until, for lack of better words, until society gets their head out of their ass and has
Uh,
a come to Jesus moment, so to speak,
yeah.
you're kind of fighting a losing battle with this.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to stop talking and stop telling, speaking the truth. Me and you speak the truth online all the time,
Of course.
regardless
Yeah.
of who likes it. But I do, and not to sound all gloom and doom, I don't want to. There's plenty of people out there who aren't all about this stuff, but it's so easy to get quickly disheartened with the amount of people who are blindly following along, left or right, whatever's going on, and having no critical thinking skills, and like having not being grounded in their morals. Like morals seems like such a fluid thing nowadays,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's
And
all
yeah.
dependent
Yeah.
on what makes them feel good at the time.
hmm Yeah, that's exactly true. And you have to also remember, I mean, like from the right, I mean, Elon Musk was not popular because of all of his tech development. I mean, his addiction to the tech stuff. I mean, his Neuralink, putting chips in people. I mean, all this stuff was not aligned with the views of the right. So, I mean, they kind of fell in line with him because he supported Trump. So now, that group of people, I mean, who supported him because he was running for this thing with Trump and supported Trump and did all the Doge stuff, they're not going to, follow behind him either because now he's back to being the bad guy who's putting chips in people's brain, right? So it's kind of an interesting timing. I mean, the timing wise, I think it's interesting that he decided to do this right now. Uh, but from the other side, I mean, like Trump doing what he's doing right now and saying and doing things that are pissing off the main base. Uh, I think he probably just chose you know that this is a better
Yeah.
any time is a good time now just to go ahead and try it. I guess I don't know. But
Well, I
I'm
don't even
not.
blame Elon. I really don't, because
No.
he put a lot of time
No.
and effort into Doge and for free, and his team for free
Yeah.
to help the country. Like, he campaigned for free and did
Yeah.
all this stuff for Trump to be kind of shit on. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Trump totally, again, he did a 180 on a lot of people,
Mhm.
and Elon is just as unhappy as you and me about what's going on. The big difference is he's got billions and billions of dollars and can go do something that's going to really, that could honestly hurt Trump and his supporter base. So, do I think the third parties was the right way to go about it? No, not necessarily. Do I understand what he's doing? Absolutely. And
Yeah.
I even
Yeah.
sympathize with him. Like, he did a lot. He could have saved our country a lot of money, and they
Yeah.
like really didn't do anything with the work
Anything
he
with it.
did.
Yeah.
Like, really
Yeah.
anything.
So I
Like,
mean,
that's,
if you look at 2015, like I mean, this is the whole premise that Trump ran on as well, right? I mean, Trump came in saying like, he's pissed off that everybody is just, taking advantage of the people. I mean, he wants to hand the power back to the people. I remember his first acceptance speech really well. I mean, like this is what made people attracted to this outsider who was coming in, to work for them, right? It's just for, by the people, for the people stuff. And it's the same thing. I mean, like I'm surprised that Elon went into the administration to do all this stuff with the expectation that everything was going to go the way he thought it was going to go. Because I mean, I think he's a brilliant guy. I mean, he should have had some doubts about what the swamp was going to do to him because he was embedded in there, and it was not like he was threatened, and he had his own fair share of interactions with the deep state. And I'm surprised that he was caught off guard. I was surprised that Trump didn't do anything. I mean, I fully expected him not to do certain things, but I expected him to do some things, uh, which hasn't happened. And maybe these are things that need to be done slowly. And I'm not again saying like I'm not unreasonable to expect Trump to do this overnight, right? I mean, like these things take time. These things, I mean, like, but we need to hear something about it that it's happening. I mean, there was plenty of Social Security fraud that was exposed. I mean, the federal government, worker base, I mean, they're working on it now. I think the judges voted for it, so that's come back. So maybe, I don't know, maybe things will happen slowly. I mean, like you said, it's only been 6 months since he's been in office. So who knows, right? Uh, I don't know. We'll see. I mean,
I don't know, the big things. No new wars. If you, I don't think this is the case at all, but let's just, for argument's sake, say the whole Israel-Iran thing, let's give Trump a mulligan because of potential nukes, whatever. Why are we giving Ukraine bombs? Like, he
yeah.
literally trashed Biden for years on
Mhm.
the Ukraine thing. You're bringing up bombs. Sorry, like that. That's there's no way you can explain that and it being a good thing unless you're wanting to continue a proxy war with Russia. Um, and then the Epstein list, like we said, just say we can't do it right now, or we're still looking into it. We're still figuring out how to do this. Going from we're going to release this to it doesn't exist doesn't show me that this is something that has to be done slowly. This sounds like something, oh, we need to just squash
Yeah.
this and sweep it under the rug. You know, and this again, I really don't like what Trump did with this. The fact that we're using a natural disaster in Texas where a lot of people were killed, a lot of damage, a lot of people without homes, we're going to use the natural disaster and tragedy to, hey guys, let's look over here. Don't worry about this. Let's
Uh-huh.
just get
Uh-huh.
through this. We don't like that's like I'm with you, Ravi. Like, I want to have some hope with this because
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I felt some pride, some a lot of hopes and patriotism, with Trump. It's a big chance to actually, not for myself, but I have 4 children. Like, I want them to have it
The
better
future. Yeah.
than I do, than because one of the hardest things that I ever had to experience in my life was being raised by a bunch of patriots who loved freedom, and then to become an adult and realize that what they taught me was not the America that we lived in anymore, that we're not really that free, that we have the illusion of freedom in this country in a lot of ways. It was very hard to come to terms with. So Trump kind of gave that hope that maybe we could get that back again. And like I'm starting to have a lot more doubts than hope in this stuff now with what's been coming out. And I don't want to, I'm not losing all hope, but there needs to be some drastic changes in the Trump administration to get back on track, because what they've been
Yeah.
doing even the past month has been so off the rails, not what you ran on, not what the American people voted you in office for. And I mean, I don't think this will ever happen, especially with the people in power right now. But there needs to be repercussions in office if people go against their campaign promises and what people voted them in for. Like if there was, I don't know, jail time, fines, you could lose your seat in office if you're going to like. There needs to be some kind of repercussions, because obviously, you know, aside from a few seats, the whole career politician thing, regardless of what they are running on, they're just going to do whatever the heck they want, is destroying America.
Yeah. And I mean,
If
that
you
is
say you're
like,
going to do this and you don't do it, something needs
I
to.
mean, that's actually the way, more politicians around the world operate. I mean, like campaign promises mean nothing. I mean, like, you promised during a campaign and then you forget about it. But I have to give credit to Trump for that. I mean, like even in his first term, I think he was one of the few presidents that I can remember who actually delivered on the most number of campaign promises made, right? So now this time, I mean, like, yeah, some of them have been delivered, but we see a derailment happening that's going to cause a major disaster if it's not course corrected. And I think I don't think that they are unaware of how the people are feeling. So I don't know. I mean, like now, people can come up and say whatever they want. Like, there's always that plan that we never know of. And, speaking of which, I just saw something somewhere that that whole thing that was going on, which I thought was bogus from day one, uh, was a psyop from Israel and the Mossad. So that tells you a lot as to who's in control, right? So if that's the case, then I think losing hope is probably what we're going to have to do, because that's going to be taking control and precedence over everything else, and we're not going to see anything that was promised in these areas where we are seeing now the cracks appearing and things not happening. It's kind of sad, but hopefully the next couple of months, we'll be able to see like where things are headed. But I mean, right now it's like a freak show. Like every week, every day you turn on, like you read something. It's like it's something to talk about, and it's almost like nonstop. The show writes itself. I mean, we haven't even touched on some other things. I just wanted to ask you, like, if you have, should we like, just for the people of Ohio? I mean, I don't know. I just signed up to be a circulator for this real estate tax abolition. The petition that's going around. I mean, I don't know if we should mention for people a lot of people in Ohio don't even know that it's going on. So there's a ballot issue that's being, going to go on the 2026 primary. Uh, and you need to find a place where you can sign this petition, because I think we need to collect like 400,000 signatures in like 6 months to get that on the ballot, so that it'll, abolish your property taxes, which is in Ohio, done unconstitutionally anyway. The website for that, if I, we can probably put it on the Facebook page as well, but it's X Ohio Tax AXOHTAX.com. And if you go to that, you will see your county, and then if you click on a county, you can see where the signing locations are. I would encourage every Ohioan to go sign that. So the website is again AXOHTAX.com. Thought I will just put a plug in for that because it's an important thing, because we probably should get that on the ballot and get it passed. Because DeWine is not going to do anything, neither are any of the governors who are going to follow him, because that's their slush money, fees, slush fund.
No, absolutely. I think every Ohioan would like a few thousand, or I should say homeowners would like a few thousand more dollars in their pocket at a year for
It's
sure.
not only
And
homeowners. If you
I
think about
want,
it, I mean, renters pass on these taxes to the renters. So, like the landlords pass on it to the renters. So, like your renters are paying real estate tax even if they know it or not, because the landlords have included that
right.
part in your rental payment. So it's pretty much everybody. And, there's a lot of false information out there. I mean, like this website will give you all the correct information, the laws that are in place, and because everybody is saying that if you stop that, all schools are going to get defunded. That's not true at all. Schools were never meant to be funded by real estate taxes. The state has enough money from the other taxes that they collect to fund schools. So I would highly encourage all Ohioans, if you're listening in, please go to the website, find your county and signing location and sign the petition, and even volunteer if you can in your county to get signatures.
Well, I appreciate everybody tuning in, and we'll put the link for the Ohioans for that in the video description. Please go check that out if you have the time to volunteer and go get signatures. Let's get the 400,000. Everybody else, thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you guys next week.
All right. Thanks, guys.